Joining me now, Senator Sherrod Brown, Democrat from Ohio, member of the Senate Finance Committee, where he serves as the chair of the Subcommittee on Social Security, and Congressman Jim McDermott, Democrat from Washington State, member of House Ways and Means Committee, which also deals with Social Security. Senator, I'll begin because you have co-signed, you're one of a few co-sponsors of a bill that Tom Harkin's introduced that would raise Social Security benefits. How does this work?
Well, it works the way that it should work. The debate, frankly, has been all about the discussion of how do we reform entitlements and how do we save Social Security. But when I hear conservative politicians in this town say reform entitlements, restructure, they're not sustainable, or when they say we need to fix Social Security or save Social Security, they're always talking about making cuts in Social Security. And the debate should not be about how much we're going to cut Social Security. The debate should be about retirement security. And your graph you had that so few people have much savings, fewer people have defined pension benefits. That's why it's so important that Social Security, that the cost of living adjustment really reflects an older person, a retiree's costs of living itself, and why it's so important that we do a little bit more and give them a little bump up. One more point, that Social Security now, in about a third of Americans on Social Security rely on Social Security for essentially their entire income. So it's not like they're getting rich from this. It's $1,200, $1,300 a month typically.
Congressman, do you feel as if the senator is correct when he says the terms of the debate have been dragged further and further to the right about how big the cuts are that you're in favor of?
Absolutely. You are looking at a Congress that refuses to face the fact that the pension system in this country is being eroded very rapidly. You saw governors all over the country attacking public employees' pensions. You've seen companies go into bankruptcy. Yep. I fly back and forth on United, and I've flown almost 4 million miles, and all the flight attendants who are over 40 years old are talking about the fact that they will have to work until they're 70 or 75 years old because the pension system was lost in the 2 bankruptcies that United Airlines has gone through. That's exactly the issue that's going on in Seattle today, where the Boeing company is going after the machinists, trying to get them to move from a defined benefit program to a 401k program. They're going right at the security of those workers in Seattle, and that's happening all through the workforce in this country. Social Security is the only thing that Enron people had. When Enron went to the ground, they still had Social Security. And that's really true for an awful lot of people in this country. And we ought to be thinking about how we can strengthen the program and make it stronger, not talking about change CPI and reducing it and doing all those sorts of things. We ought to scrap the cap. I couldn't find my button this morning, or I'd have a scrap the cap button on my coat here, because that's really what we ought to do.
I want to talk about how you pay for it, scrapping the cap, but the point you made just there, I just want to take a second because it is so important. We have run this major experiment in American social policy in which we have basically seen the erosion of defined benefit pensions. About a third of workers had them a generation ago. It's half of that now. You're looking at about 12 to 15% of workers that have defined benefit pensions. We've asked people to save money and put them in 401ks. At the same time, wages have stagnated, savings have gone down. It's been basically impossible to assemble enough wealth to live out in retirement with a good standard of living. And if you have the misfortune of retiring on the eve of a financial crisis, well, then you're out of luck. So all of that's come together at the same time that all of that is used as an argument to cut Social Security, perversely, Senator Brown. And the reason it is because we can't afford it. How are you and Senator Harkin and others going to pay for the modest benefit increase that you're advocating now?
Well, somebody making $50,000 or $100,000 a year pays a higher percentage of her income into Social Security than somebody making $500,000 or $1 million a year, and we're simply saying that everybody should pay the same percentage of their income into Social Security. That will strengthen Social Security, not strengthen it by cutting it the way that Ted Cruz just said on your show earlier on the video, but will strengthen it because it will have more revenue. And as you said, that money, the woman that you interviewed from Youngstown, if she gets a $70 a month increase, that money goes right into the economy in Youngstown, maybe to the local car mechanic, maybe to the grocery store, to the hardware store, painting her house, whatever she needs to do. That money stays locally. That builds an economy, and it saves her life. It gives her an opportunity to live her her older years and with a little higher standard of living.
Congressman, quickly, is there any possibility of any Republicans on your side of Capitol Hill in the House going along with something like this?
I think it's going to take a movement from the people, and the people have got to start sending in messages to their congressmen and saying, we want you to not cut Social Security, but increase it. And I think the scrap the cap is a good slogan for them to use. I think that they're going to begin to find that more and more people are going to be pressing their congressmen about this. That's the only way it will happen.
Yep.
In the state of Washington, we just raised in a little town the minimum wage to $15.
That's right.
It was done by the people.
Senator Sherrod Brown, Congressman Jim McDermott, thank you, gentlemen, for your time.